Hey guys, it's LaDonna Manus again with Junior Achievement. We are on session 4 today, and we've already learned a lot about our community. We've learned about jobs and businesses in our community, how those businesses produce products. Also, we've learned about how government workers within our community are paid for by taxes that come from the government, from citizens and businesses within our community. So today, we're actually going to learn about how to make a decision that will affect our community. So when we talk about a decision, what do you think the definition of decision is? Well, it's pretty easy. It's actually a choice. So there's so many choices that you make every single day. Can you think of some decisions that you had to make today? I can tell you a couple of mine. So today I had to decide what I wanted for breakfast. Did I want oatmeal or did I want eggs and bacon? Well, I decided because I had the time that I would make myself some eggs and bacon. So that was what I had for breakfast. That was a decision. I also had to decide what I wore today. So I went to my closet, picked a couple of things, and then made a decision to wear this shirt. So there's a lot of things that you do every single day that involves making a decision or a choice. And today we're going to talk about why that's so important within your community when you're learning about how to make a decision and how that decision can affect your community. So, one thing that we're going to talk about is a decision that you have to make within your community. We're going to give you an example. So our example today is that your school has been given $500 for a project. But you have to decide as a school what that $500 is going to go towards. So these are our options. We've got to make a decision, right? So the options that you have to use your $500 would be to start a recycling program. That's pretty cool, right? Everyone loves to recycle. The next option is to make art. So a mural maybe on one of your walls in your school. And the last option is to plant a butterfly garden. Very cool, right? Have tons of butterflies. So the thing is, when you think about making a decision, you have to do a few things first before you're able to come to that, right? So, some decision-making steps that you're going to have to do before you really come to your decision or your choice on what you want to use your $500 would be, number 1, think about each choice. So make sure that you're thinking about each of these options that we're talking about using our $500 for. Number 2, consider each choice and how it will affect your community. So that's going to be important. When we're talking about which one of these we want to spend our $500 on, we want to make sure that our school and our community is getting the best from that. Number 3, make your choice. So that's the biggie, right? We want to make sure that we're coming to a solid conclusion on what we want to spend our $500 on. $500 is a lot of money. So, what are some things that you're going to think about when you're making your decision? Well, you want to think about the pros and the cons of each of these different choices. So I've wrote down a few pros and maybe some questions to see if there's a con in there, which would be a negative thing, right? So for recycling, should we recycle? Well, why should we recycle? Let's think about that first. It helps the earth. So recycling is good and it helps the earth, right? What could be a bad thing about recycling? Well, what is the cost? So we only have $500. We want to make sure that we're able to afford it. We would need bins for all of the recycling. We would need people to manage that, to go around and collect all of the recycling bins. And then we would need to know what we needed to do to have that picked up for recycling. So a lot of different steps involved in that one project. What about our making an art piece? So a pro to that, a good thing about that would be that it would create something really pretty, right? So really interesting wall in our school that would have this gigantic art piece on it. Some cons to that could be, well, is it going to be something that everybody likes, right? You may like it, but would someone else like it? How long will it last? And so there's a lot of things that happen in schools. It may be remodeled, there may be painting, and you want to make sure that you're not spending your $500 on something that's just going to be there for a short period of time. And again, what's the cost of the materials? We have $500. Will that cover the cost of the paint, having someone come and actually paint that for us? All of those materials that would be needed. So something to take into consideration when you're making your choice, right? And the last one, should we plant a butterfly garden? I went ahead and put a no. And one reason for that is if I were to vote, I would say that a butterfly garden wouldn't be something that would run all year round. You know, butterflies aren't there all the time. And so it wouldn't be something that we could always see, and there's no guarantee that the butterflies would be there. So it may not be something that would be worth spending our money on. But somebody else may love butterflies, and they would say, oh no, definitely, we want the butterfly garden. Well, that's what happens when you're in a community, right? Not everybody makes the same decision. So that's why it's important as a community that you talk about your opinion, your choice, explain why you made that choice, and then listen to others in your community when they have a different choice. And that way you guys can talk it through and decide how you want to do that. So one way that you'd be able to make a decision on this would be to vote. What is voting? To make a decision on something important. And so one good thing about voting is that it allows a big group of people to put all of their opinions or their decisions in, and it gets tallied up to say who has the most votes. So that makes it fair, right? Well, how do you vote? You use a ballot. It looks something like this. So a ballot is a paper on which a person marks a choice when voting. So I've got some examples of some ballots. So let's see what these people voted for as far as our choices. We've got art display. So that's one for art display. Let's keep our tally so we know. Ooh, we've got another one for art display. One for recycle. One for butterfly garden. See, there's our butterfly lover. Another for art display. We've got some art lovers here. And then another for recycle. So guess what? That makes 3 votes for recycle, 2 for art display, and 1 for butterfly garden. So who wins? The majority wins, right? So what is the majority? How most people voted. So how did most people vote on our election? Well, they all voted for recycling. So once you vote, you get a nice little sticker to let everybody else know that you voted. And then that is a fair way for us to make our decision on what project we need to spend our $500 on. So the important thing is when you are working within a community and you're having to make a decision, that you're being respectful of other people's opinions. It is important to listen as well as make your own opinion known. So when you work together as a community to make a decision, it works better for your community. So, hopefully you've learned today a little bit about what's involved with making a decision for your community and how that's important. So the next time you're faced with a choice, you'll have the 3 steps to think about your choice, think about how it affects your community, and then make your decision. So those will be some things that you can think about the next time that you're presented with a situation where you have to make a choice or a decision. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for learning with me, and I'll see you again.